her, and I was like, dang. I was like, I should probably have done this a little bit better.
Wow.
So I'm gonna
You're going to
surprise
leave
her.
here and then go to her birthday party 2 hours away?
Yeah,
Where is she?
she's in Kewanee, Illinois.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it's south of Illinois or south from Rockford.
Hmm.
All right, so we are live. I don't think anybody else is coming on. I haven't heard from Samantha. I don't know about Sophia.
She has wine club this weekend, so I don't
Oh yeah,
know.
yeah, probably not because that's always a crazy time.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right, this
They'll
was
start, then they'll join in.
yeah. If because I'll just see it right here. If anybody wants to join in, they'll come and follow the link. I know that Vanessa. This is actually Vanessa's book.
Right.
So this is her choice. I know that she suggested to have book club like yesterday, but it was just I was out of sorts, and I thought like in my head it's Fridays, you know. So okay, so this book is Vanessa's choice. It's Summerwater by Sarah Moss. Um, First thing first for me, this is definitely like a rainy day um book.
Right.
Like it's a short read. It's not as lengthy as our other books that we've done, but it was interesting. I thought it was gonna be like the Death in Her Hands book of kind of hopping around, and I was a little bit scared because I
Right.
was just like, please don't be that kind of book. But I was actually really surprised at how like funny it was at some parts and like real.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, that's really accurate of like how she portrayed some situations like people's lives. Um, I mean, the book itself it goes through like how many people like it's a small town in Scotland. It's like a vacation town, I guess,
They were
like a
they were in the mountains in like a vacation huts or vacation cabins,
yeah,
Yeah.
vacation cabins, and it's like I
and the
think it goes through
Shevchenkos.
yeah, the Shitankos. It goes through like I think it's a day, really. It's like
One day.
from the morning all the way until night, and it's like you see the perspective of like like different families in the different vacation huts in this
Right.
small little like
12 people.
yeah. Um, I ended up really enjoying it after because it was kind of a slow start for me, and I was just a little bit worried that it was because it goes into details of people's lives and relationships, and I was like, well, what's the basis of the story, you know? Like what are we going here for? And then you realize like halfway through the book, you start to get entangled in these people's lives, of course. And the way that she described it wasn't like boring. It was funny at some parts, and it was really real in some other parts. And then it leads until the end of the day, which is where it gets like a little crazy, and that's like your big event of the book. So, Becky, what'd you think?
Well, the description said leading up to a tragedy. All these events leading up to a tragedy. And I thought, oh my God, what is going to happen to all these people? Because I'm not big on modern fiction all the time anyway. But I hate when they bring you in, introduce you to these characters, get you to know them and like these, which I think she did a great job in a
Yeah,
short book of getting us to really know these characters. And she did a great job. And then I hate when they like bring them all in and then do something that like is devastating. The reason I don't like it is because it's fiction. She didn't have to do that. She could have, at the end of it, had everybody realize, wait a minute, we're in this little village and we should all, we should all be friendly, and they could all had a big barbecue and waited till, you know,
it could have been a really great party, and
right?
at the end, and everybody like becomes a community, and they're not so secluded in their
Exactly.
silos. No, I understand where you're coming from, Becky, because it did end in tragedy.
But it was
So
not as tragic as as I kind of was led to believe, excuse me, by all the reviews saying it was leading up to this big tragedy. And I was like, what in the world? I mean, I was expecting one of the little kids to drown or, something like that was going to happen to the little kids. And
The boy
I'm
in the
not
kayak.
I'll have to, you what, Mike?
I said the boy in the kayak.
Right? I was expecting him to be like the tragedy, and then he came back all right, just wet. And then I thought, well, there are those two little kids that are going around. One of those is going to be drowned.
Mm-hmm.
No, that didn't happen. So
even like the runner girl, I thought she was gonna like get murdered while running or something.
Exactly.
And I was like, who's gonna beef it? Like, who's gonna get murdered? Who's gonna die? Like,
and I don't know. I mean, it was the fire, but I don't remember. I'll have to go back and look. Did somebody in the community die? Somebody did.
they were saying that somebody wasn't walking, and there was like they were pulling out the young couple. They were like, it sounded like they were like foaming from the mouth, but they were still conscious.
Right.
But who I believe died because the book ended. So what happened was, of course, you follow these people. They're in their own little lives. They're vacationing. They got their own troubled lives.
Right.
There's some of them aren't happy with their lives. Most of them are actually. You go through teenagers, children, a couple that's just about to get married, a couple that's been married for a very long time, and they're in this community, and there is another like family that's vacationing, but they're foreign.
Right.
They don't know, like from Ukraine or something, but what everybody's kind of collectively talking about in this book is how this foreign family threw a party, and how dare they disturb our vacationing, like our holiday, and everybody's really upset about that. So it leads up to that night where they have another party, and people are upset, and so was it one of the dads decides like, hey, I'm gonna finally tell them, like,
Right.
you gotta turn down the music. And it ends up being like, which was a kind of a twist for me, like, oh, the dad goes in with the little girl, the little Lola girl, which was not the best character when you went to her chapter or like her part of the book. She's a little conniving, sociopathy girl. But they go in the party, and everybody's starting partying. And I thought the book was going to end like, oh, everybody gets along, like how you said, Becky. But then a fire breaks out, and people are getting pulled from the house,
Right.
and then the book ends in a
But
way
they were
where
starting to get along.
yeah, they were starting to get along.
They did all rush to help when the fire broke out. Everybody came together, which was cool. I mean, in the end of it, they were all like pulling together to help everybody. But why did we have to have the tragedy to do that?
Yeah, and like what I was getting at is that in that Ukrainian family, all these families are talking about this little girl that's outside playing.
Right.
She's like by herself. The other little girl, Lola, which is the crazy one, she had an interaction with the Ukrainian girl. I forgot what her name was. They kept.
Oh, yeah.
But she was not so nice to the little Ukrainian girl, and I think ultimately, little Lola with her mom's lighter went in there, and she had a plan. She went in there, and she was smiling. Her brother, and when they go to his perspective, he's like, why is she smiling? And she's touching something in her pocket. And when she goes inside, her dad, and it looks like they were gonna have a good time. I was like, oh yay.
Right.
No, she started the fire.
Dad's gonna get turned, and
yeah, like how does he just like, you're gonna go over there and complain about like the noise complaint, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, come on in. You're like, all right, like with my little girl, let's go party,
Yeah.
But
my aunt lived in this place in Encino, and I think it was called the Tennis Club, only because it had two little 3-story buildings, maybe only 2-story, with just a few condos. But in the middle of it, there was a tennis court. Then you go up a level, and there was a big patio, and it had a koi pond, and this was like all in the middle. So all the residents could enjoy it. Well, a Russian family moved in with all their friends and family, and cousins would come to visit. And they would go out on this patio, and they would drink and party and talk, and it'd be like 2-3 o'clock in the morning. They're all making terrible noise and they're doing this. So my aunt, who was kind of like in charge, my aunt went up to tell them, you can't do this. And they're like, oh, it's America. We do what we want. You know, in America, we have rules just like you have there. They're just different rules, but the rule is you live in this community. Oh, we live here. We do what we want. So ultimately, they had to threaten them with certain kind of action, and then they backed off. But they were just thinking, you know, no big deal. So when I read that about the family, and I'm like, that is just like the Russians that came in. And I'm like, wait, it's you know, this isn't Russia, so we can do what we want.
You know, I worked with a number of people from Eastern Europe in my last job. I think they were from Belarus, and they weren't into electron or techno music or the thumping bass. They were all about death metal and
Right.
like bass. Where are they getting bass from?
So what did you think, Mike?
I thought it was good. It reminded me of a episode of like Seinfeld, right? just us. The book was essentially about nothing. I hate to say that. Yeah. All this stuff is happening. You know, people live their lives and then it ends. Without, I'm used to like murder mysteries and spy stories and stuff like that. Stuff that have a beginning, a middle, and an end. This was just, you know, progressively people living their lives.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% on that one. It's like the book wasn't really about anything, and that's why I was starting to get worried, because it's like there is no plot, really. I mean, you don't really see what's going on until the end.
Yeah.
But you're just following these people's lives, their personalities, really, and just like how the author paints their lives and how she describes different relationships. That's what really kept me going in the book. Because I was like, oh, let's just feel it out. And then she would be like, I was like, oh, that's like really strangely accurate. And I would be like, oh, that's raw and real. Like in relationship, like the married couple, like, don't sound graphic or anything, but you know, the woman's part when they were like, she's literally mid coitus with her fiance, but her thought process and like the things that she's thinking, and she's just like, oh, okay. She runs all these things in her head in this while she's doing that with her fiance. I thought that was hilarious. That was a really funny one. And then even how she painted being teenagers, like the teenage boy and then even his teenage sister. I thought she did really well.
I thought she captured people well. I thought she did a good job with that.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. But if you're looking for
something about modern fiction that I tend to not like, so like you said, Mike, it tends to be kind of about nothing, almost like the whole thing about writing it is to make sure you write like really descriptive phrases and that you really have something about these people, and then somewhere along the line you've got to have some kind of a climax, or else, you know, it doesn't work. So in this case, she made the fire. It could have been like something started, but they all got out, and then they shook hands all around, and you know, I mean, it just could have been. And maybe,
it could have been more lighthearted,
when I looked at it, and I thought, you know, that might be what happens next, because they did all come together and they met each other. Maybe they will all come together and be friendly, but I don't think so. The way she set them up to be so separate.
Right.
Yeah. And then the way that the book ended, I think, what was it? The teenage boy, what was his last description? Or, no, the brother of the Lola girl. I think he's like, I heard a scream that you never want to hear again.
Oh, yeah.
And it's something that you can never turn off. It's like, to me, it was like, oh, that has to be like the mom discovering the little girl that's passed away in the fire. So it was just like, it did end really dark. And we were like, oh shit, you know, like that's dark. I mean, like the whole book itself it's dark because it was a rainy Scottish day.
Didn't you feel the gloom of the day? I did.
It was a gloomy book.
Yeah.
Where it had some cheekiness to it. And you know, some people, you know, on any other day, I probably would have read this book and been like, you know, we read it for book club. So I was like, oh, okay. And I can see where, you know, she's going for. And I do like how the writer writes. but I would just, I would like to see that with a little bit more, like how you're saying, Mike, a little bit more of a plot, more like action to it,
Yeah.
or a little bit more. It has substance, but I needed like a A to a B. I mean,
Right.
Yeah, I didn't even mind that too much. I mean, I thought it was okay for what it was, since it was only one day. I thought we got a lot of information about these
Yeah.
people and about their lives and about what they did in this village for just in one day. And it's so I thought it was so accurate about stuff. I mean, people do, especially in places like that where it's, more of a vacation thing and people aren't doing their regular lives, so they're spending a lot more time looking outside, and
hmm
Right.
and people are snoopy about their neighbors.
Yeah.
They are. Anne, my aunt is a police officer, right? So they have the condo commandos, they call them, which are the
Oh.
people who sit up on their condos and watch the beach and look at the parking lots and hang out on their balconies and then call the cops because there's somebody suspicious. Looks like they're getting into a car or this happened or that. So, and then they have the residential rangers who are the same thing, and they'll call them for, this doesn't look right. And they always tell them, look, we'd rather you call us and it be wrong, that when you not need us, than not call us if you do need us. So go ahead and call us for the wrong stuff. But some of the stuff. And one lady who's like this perpetual thing, something about poo in the mailbox. They put, like, when they walk the dog, they leave the bags of poo in her mailbox.
Hilarious.
But who knows? Who knows who's doing what to this lady or up to anything? You just don't know. They just get this call and they go there. And I'm not sure they've ever actually found the poo in the mailbox. The lady just tells them. So it's just stuff like that. So everybody pays attention to, they're all snooping at everybody else and not making their own lives right.
Yeah.
For sure.
But then again, when I was a kid, when I was in high school, the people across the street from me, I lived at the end of a T intersection. So the people that were like, I looked down a road, but then there were people on either side of that road. The people on the side of the road, at dinner time, some thieves backed up a moving van or some kind of van and broke into their house and emptied stuff out of their house.
Oh, jeez.
Nobody knew, because the way the house was, the way the backs of everybody's houses, it was dinner time, and the backs of all of our houses were facing that way, and the backs of the houses across the street were off here, and nobody saw anything.
Oh, jeez.
And they just drove right in there, and unfortunately, the house that they broke into was the county prosecuting attorney.
Oh, no.
The district attorney for the
Dang.
prosecution. And of course they were caught, and of course they may still be in jail. I don't know.
Yeah, probably.
Nobody saw anything because we were at dinner and we were doing stuff, and nobody was actually, it was the perfect time to do it because nobody was out. Crazy. So
Yeah.
anyway, that's my piece on people being snoopy or not.
Yeah. Well, like this book was like Snoopy people. These were people looking out the window. They didn't really have TVs or internet or like signal for their phones. So they're left with
Right.
like their mind and their thoughts. I mean, and just trying to figure out what they're going to do on this rainy Scottish day. And
Did you get the feeling it was kind of like a, what do they call them over here at Disney? Not bargain resort, but
Oh, like low rent.
yeah, like a
cabins.
discount resort, like not the top of the line, super top cabins, a basic, not terribly expensive,
Yeah.
bring your own
I got,
kind of place.
because the way that they were, like, I think the first couple, she was describing like the old drapes and like the carpet, and I just saw
Right.
like an old motel that's stuck in like the late 70s. You can kind of just like stale air,
Right.
and I was like,
was theirs a rental or did they own that?
I think the couple's grandpa owned the resort or like the little vacationing.
I think it was a mix.
Okay.
Yeah.
Some were rentals and some were owners, and some of them, I think a couple of them might have been year-round residents
Mm-hmm.
of this little village.
It just reminds me of like, yeah, like campsite RV, like RV campsites here, like in the Midwest, but it's in
Right.
Scotland and it has little huts, like the cabin huts. So it's
That's
like,
kind of what I thought of too. Well, they have them down
yeah,
here like everywhere.
Yeah,
yeah.
we have friends that live up in Woodhaven, if you've heard of that, Lauren. Uh,
Woodhaven in
it's a
Wisconsin,
no,
or
it's in Illinois.
mm,
The park, I guess it's a park, but they they vacation or not vacation. They live there in the summer, but the rules state you can't live there year round.
yeah,
Oh.
yeah. A lot of
Hmm.
So
places like Pearl Lake over here is the same thing. You can do like summertime, or there are some people that do like winter for some odd reason near Pearl Lake. But yeah, a lot of Wisconsin, that's all.
Oh well, yeah. And
Yeah, backwoods.
Northern Indiana was the same too. Like I knew people like my whole life. I knew tons of people that would all be like, "No, we're going up to the lakes this weekend," and everybody knew what
yeah.
that meant.
Hmm.
Because there are all these little Finger Lakes and all these little connected lakes all through there, and people have a summer cabin on there. Well, we
Yeah.
went to my friend's cabin. We're like, my one friend brought toilet paper. She had no idea what it was, and we get there, and it was a 3-room house,
Wow.
bigger than the house I was living in. 3-bedroom house. I mean, 3-bedroom house with a big, huge living room, dining room, a kitchen, and a sunroom on the back, and it was probably about 100 feet from the lake.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of these Wisconsin cabins
We're
are
going up to
homes.
the
Yeah.
cabin. Oh my
They're
God.
not cabins, they're actual homes.
They
And then I'll be
are.
like, oh, sorry.
They
Yeah.
are. My friend Mike was the same one. He had a 2-story cabin.
Yeah.
Their family
That's
cabin on the lake, like 50 feet from the lake. You just walked
Yeah.
out and got in your boat and ran around the lake.
Perfect.
I know, it seemed like so cool to me.
Yeah. Well, I thought, you know what, the way that Sarah Moss wrote this book, I really enjoy her. I'm gonna look into other things. I didn't get to Google it before coming on if she wrote any other books. I like the way that she writes. And
Yeah, definitely.
I check out some of her
I
other
do
writing.
too. I just
Is
downloaded a book by Schwab. Is it V.E. Schwab?
Oh,
Is that her name?
V.E. Swab.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, V.E. Swab is the life of Addie LaRue.
Right.
So,
right.
so she wrote that one, and
Right.
then she has like a villain series, which is on my back. Like I literally have so many books, guys. Like literally all these books that I need to read.
I hear you.
But she's actually pretty cool if you follow her on social
I
media.
do.
Yeah, she's pretty neat, and she
She's
interacts
very
too. With,
young.
yes,
She's very
she's my
young.
age. She's my age.
But
I
you're
was
not
like,
very
oh my
old.
god.
What are you?
34.
Oh, see, I thought you were younger than that. How about
Oh, thanks.
that?
Damn kids.
I'm
You
actually
what?
I re-
Damn
oh,
kids.
damn
Yeah,
kids.
no kidding. I mean,
At those kids, yeah.
my kids
I'm
are
those
40
kids.
and 41, so like,
Yeah,
you
I'm a
guys
youngin.
you could be my kids. Right. Well, I think my
uh,
son-in-law, I think he's 32, so he's a baby still.
yeah, I'm a baby. I know. I'm not. I'm like people are like I'm old. No, I'm so young. I'm just. I
That's okay.
know it. I don't
It's
know
all
a lot of
right.
things.
I was there like about 10 minutes ago. So,
Yeah. I know, and 10 minutes from now I'll be like, what happened?
well, I think this one I downloaded is a young adult mystery, maybe, because she writes a lot of young adult stuff too, which I like, as you know. But
Mhm.
I've been walking in a swimming pool because my PT guy said, I don't want you walking on concrete. It's not good for your back. And you're trying to build up your back. So every day I want you out in the pool. Well, it's getting a little chilly down here, believe it or not. I know you think that the 70s isn't that cold, but if you're going to walk in the pool and the water's 75, it's cold.
It's a little chilly, yeah.
So,
I've been down in Florida. It was like 40 when
yeah,
we got out of the Quince.
yeah, it can definitely
Oh
get
yeah.
there. It can definitely get there. So, yeah, somebody came. I think he came. Supposedly, he was just going to come check it out, and I wouldn't even know he was there to see about a natural gas heater for the pool. And I'm going to have somebody do an estimate for an electric heater. And I've got solar heat, but the solar heat doesn't get it much warmer than air temperature. So if it's, if it's 70, it might get a little bit warmer, but it might only bring it up a tiny bit. Once it gets cold out here, forget it. So So anyway, the only way I can stand just walking in the pool is to listen to audiobooks because it is so boring. It is so boring. I'd be out there for 5 minutes otherwise and be like, yep, good.
I'm done. Yeah.
Time to go.
So I've been listening to all kinds of things. I listened, it took me, I don't know how long, because I think it was 30 some hours, was David Copperfield.
Oh, wow.
And
Yeah.
it was awesome. It was
Yeah.
so good.
You know what, Becky? I literally have been going and doing audiobooks because I have like the unlimited like Kindle like audio and everything. And let me tell you, that's another level. First of all, you fall in love with like the narrator, the person that's like, if they do a really good job, they do a really good job. They
I know.
suck you in with their voices, the way that they portray the characters. And it's just like a whole nother experience. Like, of course, I love actually physically reading because it's in my mind and it's my voice
do too.
narrating it. But it's also really nice to hear somebody tell a story when they do it really well. And I guess it's like a whole thing too. People have their favorite people, like their voice actors that
Yeah.
do books. And some of the voice actors stay with like series because it's consistency. So it's like a whole nother world. Like I open myself up to. I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, tell me about Unlimited Kindle. Kindle, is that Audibly or is it a different thing? Kindle
So
Unlimited.
I have Kindle Unlimited, and then they give me Audible book credits. So like an Audible book would be like 1 credit, and then for some odd reason they've been giving it. I don't know why. I don't question it if they give me free stuff, but they're like, you have 2 book credits now, and I'm like, oh, okay, and then I can use that for any book that I'm wanting to listen to. So it's been really cool, and I like it.
So does it cost more for Kindle Unlimited?
I think I pay like $9 a month. I can't remember.
Which is what Audibly is.
Yeah, and all the books that we do for book club, because I've been doing this for a couple of months, it's there, and they're like, just download it, because I'm unlimited Kindle and everything. So I'm just, it's really cool. It saves me, honestly, it saves a lot of money.
Yeah.
And then they give me the free tokens for the Audible book, and I enjoy it, and I just feel like it's a really good deal. So, yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so these have been on it. I was just interested about them. But yeah, I'm listening to one now that looked kind of good. It was a thriller kind of thing called Cop Town. And there's another one, but there's several by this author, and I just picked 2. Because one I'm on is Chirp. It's called Chirp. And you don't have, it's not a monthly subscription. You just download a book if you want to from whatever their library is. The thing is, and every day they have bargains, and they're like several books that are like 99 cents to $5 or something to download. But like when I downloaded for 99 cents and listened to it, I really liked it. And it's a whole mystery series. I think it starts with the arsenic and the azaleas, and then they're all like flower related stuff down the line.
Oh, nice.
Stuff. And it looked really good. So I'm like, oh, let me see what the next one is. Well, the next one's like $17.99. I'm like, oh shit.
That's how they get you.
That's how they get you, and they're all like that. And then even when I go to Audible, you can join Audible, and some of them are free on Audible, and others are like, because you're on Audible, it's only half price. So now it's only $8 for this book, plus whatever you're paying for the month. And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah. Seems like a scheme, but I'm always a sucker for it. I'll be like, yeah, let's do it. Especially when they throw in like the first month for free or whatever.
Right.
I'm like, so I like literally have that and Kindle and everything.
Well, that's where I got the Schwab one, which I think was $1.99 download from Chirp. So I got it. But Coptown that I'm listening to, the narrator is terrible. Terrible. And I'm disappointed because I have 2 books by this author, but she's very static. Like she's just reading it. I mean, you got to act the book.
You got to act it. You're a voice actor, so you have to put that.
Book.
Yep.
And as she's doing it, I'm like redoing it in my head. I'm like, I could do this so much better.
You probably can, and you probably can make a lot of money. I would go into like reading books and like, especially books that there is no audio books for. But I always sound so nasally because I always have something going on with my nose, and I'm like, nobody wants to listen to that for 8 hours. So I was like,
I don't know. I think it's tough. Well, we listened to the whole Harry Potter series twice now, maybe third time. I don't know. With oh shoot, what's his name that narrated it? Dale, the guy who did Barnum. Dale. Shoot. Anyway, it's really good. But then I found out that Stephen Fry did it for the British crowd. Stephen Fry did the whole series.
What?
Yes, and I'm like, how do I get this?
Yes, I want that.
I want to hear Stephen Fry do it. So one of the books I just listened to was The Inimitable Jeeves. I've never seen the Jeeves and Wooster show.
Oh, that's my mom's favorite.
Oh, but I've never seen it, and it's not available. I go to look for it on BritBox, and it says unavailable. It says it's there, but then it's unavailable. So I can't even buy it. But I can just, as I'm listening to this book, I could see Stephen Fry. I mean, I absolutely could see him.
Yeah, he did really good in the Jeeves and Wooster series too. Him and Hugh Laurie, they were really good.
I understand they're great. I want to see it so badly.
Yeah.
But yeah, Stephen Fry apparently narrated the Harry Potter books.
Nice. I gotta look into that one because I would definitely listen. You know who else was narrating a book which I need to read? I can't remember what the book's name, but Tom Hiddleston, which plays plays Loki. Yes, he reads a book, and I guess all the ladies went crazy because he's got a really nice, soothing British accent. Tom Hiddleston. I'll put what the book is, but that's actually my next Audible book. I'm gonna use my credits for that one. Yeah, I think he reads a couple of books because he's like it's really popular and stuff. And I think it's a little bit of a saucy book, so the ladies definitely like. If you like him, I think you're gonna like it.
That sounds good. It's all good. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. There's so much and just so little time. But
go ahead.
Oh no, the audiobooks that do help, like how Sophia does that. She's at work, I put it in at my work, and sometimes I'm like, I told my boss, I'm like, if I'm spacing out or I'm like looking, I'm listening to a book, and it's probably really good for a moment. So just like clap your hands or something.
Right. I did download 2 of them. Like I said, Chirp is free. You just sign up for it and give them your card to charge things out, and then anything you want, you just buy it at the time. There's no subscription service. So they had 2 of them that I downloaded, and it was a series. It was part 1 and part 2, 10 classics to read before you die or something. But it's all like the basic, like some really basic books, several of which I've read before, but some of which I haven't. And I think it was $3.99 for the 10 books. So I thought, well, even if I just get a couple of books out of them, it's a good deal. But it has stuff like, I think the first one is White Fang, which I think I read a Jack London book a long time ago, but I'm not sure it was that one. And Alice in Wonderland and Moby Dick and The Jungle Book and like really classic books are on these. And I think there's a Dickens one in each one, which is why I got it, because I'm like, I want to do more Dickens.
Yeah.
So it's awesome. Anyway.
Yeah. So for this Summerwater by Sarah Moss, I don't usually at like the end of our like book clubs, I was like, oh, do you recommend it? I don't. See, I'm a little bit toggled because I'm not upset that I read the book. It was a good read, and I like how she wrote characters. I don't know if I would like recommend the book because it's not everybody's cup of tea.
Is there a follow-up to this book? Is there like a part 2? Is there a sequel?
Not that I know of.
I don't think so. I can Google it real quick. I would say I would recommend the author. And then the book is like if you're fine with like a gloomy, rainy day, then give it a go. What do you think, Becky?
I agree. It's not like, well, there's a few hours of my life I'll never get back. It's nothing like that. Like a couple of them that we've read.
Yeah.
Wasn't okay. Did we read one where the gal? We've read a bunch. The gal goes out jogging every morning, and the children are home sleeping, and the husband's away, but then he comes back, and she's leading this unhappy life. Was that in this book club? I read that.
I feel like we read something like that, but I can't remember what it was. And I feel like it was like Girl on the Train, but it wasn't Girl on the
No,
Train.
No, it
it
wasn't
was
that. But
wasn't that older lady who lived in like a town in New England?
well, that the one where she's crazy,
Maybe.
where she finds the paper,
Oh yes, she finds the
and by
paper and
the
she
end of
wants.
the day, by the end of it, we realize she put the paper there herself because she's
Oh, Death in Her Hands. Yeah, the
yeah, death in
really
her hands.
that's
No,
our
this
worst book so far.
it's
I'm sorry for that author, but that book was just not good. It was not a
right.
good
And
time.
she was a compelling author to read, but no, that book was not good.
Yeah.
But it was just not. Maybe it was good if you like that kind of thing, but no.
I thought
No,
that's what I was saying. I thought it was gonna be like
in
that,
fact,
this
I think
book.
they were on vacation. That at this, they
I
they were on vacation. She would go out and run up and down the streets, and somebody saw her. I don't know. I can't remember. But when the one girl started jogging, and it was in this little resort village, it like reminded me of that other
yes.
book, and that
Yeah,
other book
exactly.
wasn't great either. It was okay,
I can't remember, but it literally did the same for me too, Becky. I was like, "Oh, I read this before."
right,
And it's like where she's running, she's got a family, and she's kind of like, questioning herself and her life choices.
right.
I did
It's
okay, so I did look up the author. She wrote actually a few books.
yeah,
You
she has several books.
Yeah, so Summerwater was for 2020. That came out in 2020, but she has Ghost Wall, Bodies of Light, Cold Earth. So they're like a little, dark esque. Night Waking. Oh, that one looks really good. Um, yeah, so I'll probably audiobook one of her other books and see how it goes.
Well,
But yeah.
I got 20 classics to read plus whatever.
Yeah, and I got all 50 books that are just sitting literally right here too.
I have my piles of books, and I have my Kindle with a bunch of books on it to read, and I've
Not
got
enough
books on
time.
CD. My favorite books on CD, which I've also read most of them, are the First Ladies Detective Agency books. Have you read those? Number One Ladies Detective Agency.
Mm-mm.
There's like 20 or 21 books
Jeez.
in the series now, but it all takes place in Botswana. And the author is British, and he like goes back and forth between South Africa and Britain. And anyway, so as soon as you start reading these books, and I would say go to Amazon, pull up the Number One Ladies Detective Agency, go look inside this book, and just read some of it and see what you think.
Okay.
The minute
Yeah.
I picked up the first book and started reading it, I just went, oh, like you just calm right down to this slow, easy pace of Botswana. And the heroine of the story's name is Precious Ramatswe, who is an African Precious. Yeah, that's her first name, but she's like in her 40s, I think, or late 30s, 40s, something like that. Anyway, she's traditionally built. She's
Okay.
right. So
Sure.
this is, so she's traditionally built, and she had, as you find out as books go by, she had a husband who was abusive, and so she left him and went back with her father, who was a very popular rancher in the area and had a bunch of cattle. I think he was a big cattle rancher, and he's well known in the area. And so she lived with him, and worked with him and fed him and kept him, and then he died.
Oh.
So now what's she gonna do? She has no husband, and she has no father to support her, and she cannot work the ranch by herself. So she moves into town and she realizes there's no detective agency in town, and she gets this book on the basics of private detection. And she
Really?
decides she will open this, and it's called that because there's never been one. So it's the Number One Ladies Detective Agency. And
Nice.
she
That's cute.
runs this little detective agency next door to the to a car repair shop, and you just get right into the little village, and you just everything slows down, and it's so beautifully written. It's just, I don't know, the #1 ladies detective agency. Recommend.
I'll check it out. And if you want, Becky, you can post it on the group page for recommendations too, and we could check it out.
Yeah,
Anybody else?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Well, this was an interesting book.
it was.
Yeah. For the next book club, I don't know who's next in rotation. I think it might be Sophia because this was Vanessa's. So if Sophia is still interested, I'll let her know that because I think she said too she has some recommendations of some books, some really good ones. I'll let her know, and then I will post it on the group page. And
Okay.
then I will also post some of my recommendations. I'll probably post that Tom Hiddleston book that he reads.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we got to listen to it. And
Sounds good.
well, thanks for joining the book club. Sorry, I've been a hot mess the past couple months.
I wish
But
everybody could. Maybe next time we'll make it so that everybody can join because
there was a lot of hopping around on this one, like dates and time, and that's on me. I've got to get it more situated better, but I'm getting back on track. I promise, guys. Promise.
We're all flexible.
As long as it's not next March, I'm fine.
Yeah.
Are you
right,
not available next March, Mike?
I'll be out at some point in the month. I'll be in Mexico when Chloe's getting married.
Oh, she's getting
Yes.
married.
Yes.
In Mexico.
Nice.
Huh?
In
Mexico. Yeah.
Is she living in Mexico?
No, she just her job.
Destination.
Yeah, her job is moving her from. She's in Oregon now. They're moving her down to near San Diego.
Oh, gotcha.
Okay, so then she's doing a destination wedding down in.
Yes.
In
I forget where in Mexico.
Yeah.
But somewhere there.
I'll tell her congratulations.
I sure will.
Cool. That'll be fun.
All right. Well, thank you for joining, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye. We'll see you next book club.
Sounds good.